Hello everyone, my name is Tim Burgess and welcome to this podcast where we talk about things that are going on in the world and we have a discussion about them. Some of these topics are problems that we will come up with some possible solutions for. Welcome to A Dog's Talk. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another fantastic episode of A Dog's Talk. This is episode 5. I never thought I would get to this far into the podcast. Alright, I thought I was going to get discouraged. I thought I was going to not have as much fun anymore making them. But I'm going to be totally honest with you. I'm having a blast making these. I'm not quite getting the listeners I was hoping to get, but also, what can I expect? I'm new to the face of podcasting. So I'm not going to get millions of views on millions of listens on each episode I release. That may come with time, depending on how good I get. But anyway, this is episode 5 of A Dog's Talk. I'm your host, Tim Burgess. Thank you so much for joining me again, or if you're new, thank you so much for joining me in the first place. We have a fun, exciting, jam-packed, maybe funny. It's not actually funny. That was a joke. That was the only funny part of this episode. This episode is going to be very serious, and we're going to talk about a very big topic in the United States, and to be honest, around the world. We're going to talk all about mental health. That's basically what this episode is going to be on, and it's a very big topic. It's something I am not expert on. None of these topics I talk about I'm an expert on. I'm only in college, but it's important to talk about them and my views on these issues, and then more down the road of the podcast, I want to have the listeners' thoughts on each subject I bring up. But for right now, we'll obviously come back to this huge topic because it deserves to be talked about for, years, because it is such a major topic in the United States and around the world, to be honest. But I only can get data. Well, I can probably get world data, but I'm only going to talk about U.S. data today. Just before we begin that topic, I'm going to do some housekeeping things first. So the results of the charity podcast, the episode 4 podcast, are not what I expected it not to get a lot, because it was the first one, and then I'm talking about listens. Didn't get a lot. Listens equals the amount of money I can give to a certain charity. So it obviously didn't make enough for me to cash out of the program I use. So therefore I unfortunately can't give anything to charity. However, like I said last time, I will continue monitoring that charity podcast and then any future ones, and however much money it makes from now until the next one will go to whatever the next charity podcast is on, like wherever that money will go to. Hopefully the next one I do will have a little bit better of a result, I hope. We'll see. Anyway, the results were bad on this one, but hopefully further down the line it gets better, because I really want to do good, and I think it would be really nice if I think it would give all of you listeners a good feeling to know that just listening to this podcast, you've done good for the community, or at least listening to those charity episodes, you've done good for the nation, the world, the community, because we're going to do I'm going to call it a diverse portfolio. That was a very grown-up term. In case you don't know, that's an investment portfolio is a very adult thing for all the children that are listening. So I'm going to call that a very diverse portfolio of organizations that we give money to. And hopefully it's thousands of dollars in the future. Of course, like I said, I'm not expecting to get like 1 million views right now on this podcast. I wish that would happen, but it's not. Because I'm new to, like I said, I'm new to the face of podcasting, so I'm not gonna get millions of views yet. Maybe further down the road, we hope. Anyway, my Twitter page, if you already haven't, go ahead and follow my Twitter page. That's where I will be posting all the questions for each episode. I'll be reading people who answer them. So I didn't do a question for this one. If any of you are looking, I didn't do a question for this one. I did a question. Well, no, yes, I did. I did a question. It was based off the last week's topic, but I was going to read the people that submitted some answers, which no one did. That's okay. But in the future, that's where I'm going to put, the polls, the questions, and then that's where you can weigh in on what organization gets charity money on a charity podcast episode. Anyway, so yeah, at tburgess25 on Twitter. Go add me up. Follow me. Sorry, it's follow, not add, but it's follow. Yeah, I also have started an Instagram, so make sure you go check that out. I'll put it in the description of this episode, but it's a dog's talk, all one word. Now it's I forgot what that one. I forgot what it's called. It's the dash, but it's the one that goes like to the bottom. Because when I was setting up the account, I wanted to put a space, so that's also what the space is. I forgot what it's called at the top of my head right now, because obviously I'm recording, so I forget everything I say. But yeah, it's that and then podcast. So a dog's talk, the little dash symbol that's like all the way to the floor, podcast. I'll put that in the description below because that was very confusing. And then one last thing on housekeeping is that I have reviewed old podcasts of myself. I've made notes on what's good and what is not. And I was going to read some of those notes. I did this in the car today at work. So I sound, no, okay. Episode 1 and 2 were very hard to listen to because they were kind of bad, obviously. So I like to think I'm getting better. Thank you to all the other people that think I'm getting better. I'm going to read some of the things I wrote down. So to say less of because that is a thing that goes around in my family whenever we're public speaking or something, like I just did. It's just kind of a habit. So I'm going to try and do less of less pauses. So I'm going to do less pauses because that's kind of awkward. Clearer speech, lighter on P's, because I was listening to some of the newer ones and you can still hear the P noise, but that one was a little better. I'm still working on my voice and what, and speaking of voice, I have less emotion. So because more emotion over the microphone makes the waves go louder and then that's harder to hear. So yeah, those are some of the things I found on the other episodes. I'm going to work on doing those. And there's some more stuff for like post-production. So I'm going to work on some more stuff to try and get better for you. As of right now, I'm going to insert one of those ads because we're going to move into our review of Outer Banks. Make sure you stick around for our review of that, or for my review of that. You don't want to miss it. It's I'm not going to say much until the actual review, but I'm going to put in an ad right now and I'll be right back. And welcome back to the podcast. I hope that ad wasn't bad. I don't know what they are because they're all random and it's random per person. So some of them might be bad. Some of them probably won't be bad. So let's move into the review. Outer Banks, season 2 of Outer Banks just came out, I believe, this past week. I was a fan. I was an Outer Banks fan when it first started last year. When season 1 first came out, it's on Netflix. It's a Netflix exclusive, so you can only get it on Netflix. So you have to have a membership to Netflix. They usually release every single episode in a season, so you don't have to wait week by week for any new episodes. You can just watch them all at, like in one day, which is some people I know did that. I did not. It took me a few days to finish all of them because I was busy. But anyway, so from season 1, I was a fan. I could not wait for season 2. Season 2 was just released. Without obviously spoiling any of what happened in either season 1 or season 2, I'm going to give you the gist of the story. So you have these 4 friends who are part of the Pogue group. Now, the Pogues, so it's based out off in Outer Banks, South Carolina. And in this story, the Pogues are the not rich people. And then the Kooks are the rich people. Now, there's some intermingling. And then you get these 4 friends, which are, in the story, they're supposed to be high schoolers, but in real life, the actors are like 20, 24. So an interesting thing is, if you've seen what's it called? The Disney show with the dog that was on 5 years ago. Austin North is in this. It was good to see him back. But then also Charles Easton, who I believe was his co-star in that show on Disney, is also in it. Not playing his dad again, but he's in it. They're both in it, and they both have very good roles, and they both play their roles fantastically. Of course, because they are fantastic actors. We're introduced to some new actor faces, but which are the 4 friends, the 4 main friends. They all are fantastic actors and actresses. This season was fantastic. It was very well put together. And it's well recommended that you go watch it, because you will get drawn in from the first episode, because it combines kind of mystery, adventure. Some parts are suspenseful, not many parts, but some. But it's a big mystery thing. You got some romance in there. You got some of everything in there that you might like. There's some, I wouldn't say horror parts, but there's some, scary parts, but not, if you're above the age of, it might be TV 13 or whatever TVMA, which is like, you have to be mature to be it, so I would say like 15 or something. But yeah, because there is some sexual parts in it, but it is a fantastic show. It'll draw you in right from season 1, and I already am ready for season 3, because I know that now obviously they haven't come out and said that there's going to be a season 3, but I already know there's going to be a season 3. There has to be. It's been the number 1, I think, on this entire week on Netflix for this entire week, like I said. So that just tells you how good it is. I'm not sure like how much it brought in or anything like money wise, but it probably brought in a lot. So yeah, make sure you go check out Outer Banks. But so it has a huge audience. It gained a huge audience after the first season. And so obviously, what do you do with that? What do you do, when you have a whole bunch of these young, I'm going to say young because they are all in their 20s in real life, but you have a whole bunch of these young people in the show, in acting, and then you draw in all these other young people who are watching the show. So what do you do differently from season 1 in season 2? So obviously, we're going to tie this into the Let's Talk on mental health and the problem in the world. So the 2 big issues that are brought up in Outer Banks, and they're brought up so that the audience, it's made for the audience of young people to get. And to be honest, it is also made for the grown-ups that listen to the show. And in season 1, the main problem was, and you saw this more than you did the this season's issue, but it was on race and ethnicity is what I would like to call it. What the problem was in season 1. Now, there wasn't much mention of that, but you do have, actors and actresses that are of color in this series. So, obviously, they're going to not play around with that, but they're going to, explain and show and send a message to the community, to the society of the United States on race and ethnicity. Now, that was brought up more in this season as well. Of the race and ethnicity, but the major thing I see what the producers and the director did. You gain this huge audience of especially teens, young adults. You have this, you gain this huge audience. So what do you do with it? You bring in another issue surrounding the United States or the world. This season was heavy. Now, if you didn't spot it, go back and watch the episodes of season 2, because you will get it. I got it right away. It's a huge subject on mental health, and I'll explain more right after this break. Welcome back, everyone. I hope that ad, like I said before, is not that bad. Anyway, we're back. We're going to talk about mental health. We're going to tie in how Outer Banks is, or especially season 2, how Outer Banks of season 2 ties into the huge issue of mental health. Now, the show brings up many issues, like I said before, such as race and ethnicity, but this season 2, was heavy on the mental health. Now, let me explain a little bit without giving too much away. For those of you that have seen it, Rafe is struggling. He really is. Now, Rafe is, I would consider Rafe as the bad guy in this show. The actor who plays him, Drew Starkey, does a phenomenal job with acting out how someone, what the events that happened in the story, would come over it. I'm trying my hardest not to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the entire season or season 1. But there's an event that happened, and we see the aftermath that Rafe is dealing with. Like I said before, the actor plays it amazingly, but he has a huge mental health issue. He is denied help by his father. He even says to his father, I am not okay, I need help. There's something wrong with me. I don't know what it is. He's confused, and obviously me being able to see that stuff is something that came right out in this in this season. I saw it right away. I saw that he was struggling with mental health. He was struggling with the thing he did, and to be honest, his family life was not good. Now, I'm going to talk about his family life a little bit later. Now, Rafe's dad, I had a question mark in here. Rafe's dad, who is played by Charles Eston, who I mentioned earlier, another fantastic actor, was involved with the event with his son. He plays Ward Cameron, which is Rafe's dad. And I put in here, dad have mental illness, question mark, because I believe that what the producers and the director were also trying to show us is that the father, Rafe's father, also had a mental illness. Now, it was harder to see, but, I truly believe that Rafe's dad also has a mental illness. Now, Rafe was the huge one that you could clearly see right in plain view, right there. You could see that he had a huge mental illness because of a few different things. The thing that he did, and then, his family life, to be honest. Now, I have it next right here that how their bad relationship played into Rafe's health. So, I truly believe that this was a simulation of real American real American families. Now, Rafe and the Cameron family are very, very rich. All right. So, to be honest, Rafe has it all. Rafe and his other 2 sisters have it all. But that doesn't matter with mental health, as we can see. clearly see, which is being simulated here, is that, his father was not always good to him. His father was very manipulative, and we could clearly see that. And the family life just wasn't there. The family wasn't supporting their son in his quest to get healthier in his mental health, because we clearly saw that Rafe had a mental illness. And I believe that the family life, him growing up, we don't know what it was like for Rafe growing up, but I would think it would be the same thing, about Ward Cameron not being around maybe as much, or Ward Cameron not showing as much support for his children. Now, you kind of get fooled in it by thinking that, Ward Cameron just is doing it for his family. He's really a self-centered man. He really only cares about himself. And we really do see that in this season especially. And with Rafe's mental health, he's asking for help. He's pleading for help. There's no support in the family. And not even his sister, who is part of that friend group, helps him out. And we see her as a good person, but she doesn't even see that he needs help, and he really does need help. Yeah, he's done something bad, but he needs help. Which I believe that this is a simulation of a real American family. Now, this just goes to show that a family with a lot of money and that has everything, that gives their children everything, it does not matter. A child who grows up rich can still struggle with mental health. A poor person can struggle with mental health. Every single type of person can struggle with mental health. So this just proves that even rich people struggle. Now, I have multiple statistics on this, on mental health. Now, we're going to switch from Outer Banks. We're going to switch out of Outer Banks, and we're going to talk about the real world. So, the United States has a huge, huge issue with mental health. Now, you might be listening to this being like, oh yeah, I already know this. I already know. But we're going to talk about it again. We're going to talk about some statistics that I have found, I have researched. And as a sociology major, I have researched things going towards mental health in the society. So I look at this from a societal standpoint, but we have societal, we have societal data back, and this is pertaining to the U.S., but because I'm not 100% sure on the world data, but we definitely know that the rest of the world, there are people that still struggle with mental health. The entire world struggles with it. So I'm going to read some statistics. I have two sources for this. All these statistics are from the National Alliance on Mental Health, and then the Mental Health America. Those are the two websites and organizations that I pulled this data from. So I'm just going to read you some of this data. Now, it is very shocking. It's very hard to listen to. It might be hard for some people to listen to. Now, if you're in your car in the morning, you probably don't want to listen to this, but I'm going to tell you this. This data is from 2020, this past year. All these studies were conducted, so I'm just going to read the data right out, and then we're going to talk about it after. So the first thing I have is, even before COVID-19, out of 1.5 million U.S. adults that were studied, 19% of them suffered from a mental illness. 60% of children with depression do not receive any help in the United States. Now I'm going to move on to suicide because of a mental illness. Suicide is the second cause of death for ages 10 to 34 in America. 46% of people who commit suicide have been diagnosed with a mental illness, and then 90% of people who die from suicide have symptoms of a mental illness. Suicide is clearly not the answer. Anyone who's struggling with mental health listening to me right now, suicide is not the answer. Killing yourself is not the answer. You need to seek help. All right? You must seek help. I know from experience that asking for help with anything, especially, and I'm going to move this kind of from the sexes, from a male standpoint, asking for help is a very hard thing to do. Bottling up your feelings is something that a lot of guys love to do because it's what we're taught. I was not particularly taught it, but, from being around other people, other guys, in my grade and stuff, they have all said, oh no, don't cry. A man doesn't cry, all that stuff. Now, as I'm getting older, I'm trying to break that habit of not showing my feelings, not talking about my feelings, because I'm going to tell you this right now. Talking to someone I trust or someone who's a professional about my feelings does help. It really helps me cope with whatever's going on. It really helps me recover from whatever's going on so I can move on with my life. If you are struggling from a mental health illness, now this goes for any sex, any person, any race, any ethnicity, any religion, whatever. If you're a human being and you struggle from mental health or any mental illness, you're depressed, you have thoughts, I don't feel good about yourself, or any of the mental illnesses or any mental illness, you have to seek help. At least talk to someone. If your family is not the people to talk to, don't talk to them. Because if you feel like they won't listen or they won't help you, don't talk to them. Okay, about your mental health or your feelings or what's going on. If you cannot trust them, don't talk to them. I would say the best people for you to talk to, you have to seek out, you have to take the initiative to go and talk to someone that you know and trust. For me personally, it's my family, my friends, anyone that has been a significant part of my life. I trust to go talk to, and then I definitely trust going to someone such as a social worker or a psychologist, just going to talk to them, because I'm telling you, like I said before, from experience, talking about my feelings does help. You have to take the initiative, find the strength, you have it in you to go and talk to someone about what is happening to you, because I know, I've got friends that struggle from mental health. I struggle from not like major things, but obviously I've been stressed about schoolwork and stuff and life, and I've been stressed about some things, but I've talked to people about it. Now, obviously there are some very serious depression symptoms that people have, and there's some people that very really struggle with depression or anxiety from, whether it's an event or, it runs in the family or something like that. You have to seek help, and you have to, no matter your age, no matter your sex, no matter your gender, well, sex is gender, no matter your race, your ethnicity, someone is out there to help you. There is someone out there to help, all right? I love helping people. If you are struggling and you're listening right now and you don't feel comfortable with anyone in your community, shoot that email in the description below. Shoot me an email in that description below. I always put my business email. It's not just for business. I'm opening it up to anyone who needs to talk, wants to talk. I'll help you out. All right, I'll send you it'll come from me, no one else. And I'll anything you tell me. Obviously, I'm a little disclaimer right here. If you email that email address and you tell me anything that is obviously confidential, I am not going to say anything. Anything that you send me about a mental health thing, or if you need help or anything like that, I will never repeat it on the show to my friends, my family, nothing. It all just stays in my head. But yeah, someone is out there to help you. Never be afraid to seek help, because someone is always, always, always there to help you. I know it doesn't seem like it. There is, though. There always is. The number for the suicide hotline is 800-273-8255. That's for the National Suicide Hotline. Hopefully you never have to call that, because, suicide is not the answer. Living is so much better than doing that. All right. And it's such a hard topic to talk about because I've known people to commit suicide. I've known people who've degraded from a mental illness because they don't seek help. Did I already? I don't know if I said this statistic on how many people. Oh, no, yeah. 60% of children with depression do not receive any help. That is a huge number of children in the United States that do not seek help. Seek help. There is someone out there. I promise you. You just have to take some initiative, take some strength. There is someone to help you. Whether it's a psychologist, a social worker, a teacher that you might know, a parent, a friend, girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever. There is someone out there to help you. They will listen to you and they will help you, okay? There are also multiple numbers you can call for any sort of like depression hotline or mental health hotline or whatever. Give them a call, talk to those people. They're very smart people. I've never had to call one, but I obviously just know that they know what they're talking about. They will help you out. Your school, most likely your school has access to either a social worker or maybe even a clinical psychologist or someone that is there for mental health, most likely. And then there's probably most likely one in your community where you can go and talk to, because therapy will help. And then, just talking about what's happening, what's going on. There are people to help you, and there are, and do not be afraid to go ask for help. Now, I'm speaking directly to young men who think that it's not cool or manly to go talk to someone about their feelings. It's not manly if you don't. All right, I'm going to tell you that right now. Our society needs to change, and it needs to stop putting so much pressure on young men and men in general, okay? Because there is someone that will help you, and it's manly to talk about your feelings to your friends, your family, whatever. It's not manly anymore to bottle it up and not talk about it. If you're struggling, ask for help. There's someone that will help you. Just ask for help. That's all you have to do, is just ask around for help. If you're someone who doesn't believe in mental health, well, you need to check in the 21st century, because it's real. It's a huge issue, and people are dying from it. Like I said, it's the second cause of death for ages 10 to 34 in the United States. It's real. It's there. It's not a hoax. It is 100% there. People are struggling from it, and the least you could do, if you are not struggling from it yourself, you can find someone who is and help them. Help others. For me, I love helping others, and I love, to assist others and make people feel welcome, feel safe, feel good with themselves. Help someone who is struggling. If you see someone, whether it's in the lunchroom or something, bullying is a huge cause of depression, which is a mental illness. If you see someone in your lunchroom sitting alone, go sit with them or invite them to sit with you, okay? Because by helping someone, if you see someone struggling with like a mental health illness or anything, by going up to them and just talking to them, you've saved a life. You have most likely saved a life. Be friends with them. Invite them to your house. Do something fun with them to not have them be depressed, right? Start a club at your school that will help someone who is struggling, or people that are struggling in your school or your community. Invite them into that group. Talk to them. And for those of you that are struggling with the mental illness and don't want to be going into that group because you're afraid of what others will say, no one should ever judge you for being depressed or being sad, or no one should ever be judging you for that, all right? No one. You have to feel safe, and that's something else that has to change in our society, is people have to stop bullying. We have to teach our younger generation to stop bullying people that, are sitting by themselves, want to be by themselves. We have the kids, the weird kid that might sit in the corner. There's a reason. You don't know it. It could be their home life, but they're obviously struggling with something. Go talk to them. Make them feel welcome. Save their lives. make them have a fantastic life like you are living if you do not have a mental illness. All right. I could go on and on. Honestly, I really could, because I myself, not like I said before, I have not struggled from like depression or anything like that, but I have struggled from stress. I've been anxious about some things, and it always helps me to go talk to one of my friends or my girlfriend or my family or anything like that. All right. It always helps me to go talk to someone. And I always love listening to people. Obviously, I wish that it never had to happen that anyone had a mental illness, but anyone that does, I love helping them not feel depressed anymore. And like I said, if you really want to, if you're listening to this right now and you are struggling from a mental illness and you don't feel comfortable, I can help you with some ideas personally through an email. If you want to just talk, if you want to do like a Zoom or anything, I mean, I'm pretty busy, but I can try and do that or something. I don't know. But I will, at least email you back with some help, right? Or I'll listen to you through email or anything. But just seek help for those of you who are struggling from a mental illness. Suicide is never the answer. Never. That's what we have to put in our heads. Instead of not feeling comfortable with sharing our feelings, we have to put into kids' heads that suicide is never the answer. And for those of you that have weapons in your house or anything like that, make sure they're locked and away from children. And for adults that are struggling with mental illness, it's not just kids that need to seek help. You also need to seek help as well. Just go to someone. There's someone there to help, right? We put all this stress on the kids, but also there's a huge portion of adults that struggle from mental illness. Just listen to me. Go talk to someone. Just talk to someone, right? And don't be alone. Being alone, this goes for kids, this goes for adults. Being alone is terrible. There's someone out there, whether it's through, a group chat. Facebook has fantastic groups. You could probably look up any type of group, social group, and connect with someone. Just connect with someone, even if they're halfway across the world. Having a pen pal. I had a pen pal. That was amazing. That was actually really fun. Get a pen pal. There's websites where you can easily get pen pals. But just talk to someone, all right? And for those of you that aren't struggling, lucky you. But help the ones that are. Help the ones that are. Let your hand out and help them. Now, your ways to help. Like I said before, I'm not a professional on this topic, all right? But, from watching the news, from reading things, from studying it, I have some ideas on ways to help. The biggest thing is to listen to someone who's struggling. Just listen to someone who's struggling. Other ways for if you are struggling, go talk to someone. Go talk to a professional like psychologist, social worker, anything with anyone who, gets paid the big bucks to listen to people on a couch or something. Go talk to them. They will be able to help you so much. And telling them everything. Tell them everything that's going through your mind, and they can help you. Now, if you're one of those psychologists that, just pushes people away, why? Come on now. Don't do that. Don't, if they can't pay, if that's why you're pushing them away, come on now. We have a huge problem, and volunteering your time would be a fantastic thing to do. And you'll feel so good with yourself if you just volunteer your time. If you're just in it for the money, if you're in the field for the money, get out of the field, because you really just don't want to help people. Like if I was a psychologist or a social worker, I would definitely open my doors to the community and say, come in, don't worry about the payment. I'm volunteering my time, come in. Or at least like one day out of the week, I would say, anyone who wants to, come in. Now, not being able to fit people, there's a lot of psychologists who have busy schedules now, which is unfortunate, because then that gets rid of some access for some other people that are in like small communities or something. That obviously isn't your fault. But even just doing it like on weekends, like a volunteer clinic where you go in and you just listen to people, their story. Everyone has a story. You'll help them. You'll save the life, and you'll help them immensely. like I said before, I can continue going on about this topic, and in future episodes I really do want to. But I think for right now I'm gonna stop talking about it. But like I said before, mental health, depression, anxiety, stress, all that stuff, and even any of the mental illnesses are huge. They're on a huge incline in this country, and to be honest, in this world, because we're so stressed about everything right now, especially during COVID-19. But even before COVID-19, we have a huge amount of stress, and especially in the United States, with pertaining to adults, you get your work. You get way too much work, and that obviously stresses you out and then leads to depression and stuff. Family things such as a family member passing away is a huge cause of depression. A divorce is another huge thing, and there's a lot of sad things, but there's also a lot of ways that you people who don't struggle or have struggled before and want to help. There's a whole bunch of ways you can help. You can probably just go search ways to help mental illness or organizations that help people with mental illnesses, and you could, get linked up with someone who just needs to talk. There's probably websites like that. I haven't researched it. I'm not sure, but yeah, there's so many ways you can help. There's so many ways that people just don't know about, but just research. How can I help with mental illness in the United States? All right, because people need help. There are so many people that need help, and there's just not enough people to give that help. And mental health shouldn't be a political issue, but in politics, it is a huge way. Funding for mental health, like research, mental health, ways to help, like such as like getting more organizations and stuff, that on the national and state levels is very important to do, and that must be talked about. We can't just deny on Capitol Hill that mental illness is not a thing. There has to be increased funding in prevention and education on it, and ways to start your kids where they won't get or ways to show kids to manage stress and stuff. There has to be more to do on the political level. Now, it is a political issue, but also, it's not only a political issue, it's a societal issue. And society, we are hopefully going to go through a huge societal change soon. There usually is, I don't know when the timeline is, but there always is a societal change in the world. And we really need to go through one soon, because this is a huge issue in the United States and around the world. And mental health should not be denied as a huge issue, because it is. And for those of you that don't believe it, well, you gotta open your eyes, because welcome to the 21st century, where it is a huge issue, and it's the second cause of death for people the ages of between 10 and 34. So why don't you just do some research? If you don't believe in it, or if you just don't know a lot about it, do some research about it. It's a very scary topic. But it's something that has to be talked about, and it's something that everyone needs to be well educated on. So yeah, without further ado, I don't know why I said that, because I'm not introducing a new topic. But with that being said, I'm just gonna leave you with, if you're struggling with a mental illness, get help. Get help. You will feel so much better, because the feeling you are going through is probably painful. It hurts. It's terrible. Get help. Just get help. For those of you that don't struggle from a mental illness, help others. Helping others will end this terrible pandemic of mental illness. Help others that are struggling. Let's all be kind to one each other. Sorry. Wow, that was an important line, and I kind of just screwed it up, so I'm going to restart. Let's all help others, help each other, and let's all have a fantastic life in this fantastic country of the United States. Thank you very much. I hope you will join me all for the next episode, and thank you all for listening to this.